My name is David Sherman. I'm very pleased to welcome you to this event. I'm going to just say a few words to introduce the introducer to the main event. I am co-director of something called the ELEGY Project, a public poetry initiative. And with the Woodbury Poetry Room, we're pleased to host you for this event. Patrick Pritchett, whom I'll be introducing, is a former lecturer in history and literature here at Harvard, and now is a lecturer in comparative literature at Rutgers University. He is the author of a brand new collection of essays, Make It Broken, Toward a Poetics of Late Modernism, just out this spring, so congratulations. He's also author of several books of poetry, including Gnostic Frequencies, Song X, Refrain series, and his most recent collection, Sunderland, which is just out from Spoit and Doval in 2023. And I just want to say a few words about how Patrick and Peter are in conversation about elegy in their writing over many years. Of Sunderland, of Patrick's book, critic Heather Thomas writes, Patrick Pritchett's extraordinary Sunderland is the wasteland of our times. Yeah, no, but that's a good line, right? I said no. Yeah. Haunted by the angel of dead times in a sundered land, Pritchett's poems stun and sear with a poignant ferocity as they meditate on the earth, love, loss, grief, despair, prayer, the pandemic, and the poem as afterlife. Pritchett is, like his dear friend Gizzi, also an elegist of our day, our times, the world that ends and that does not end. Not far from Treacle or Ceylon, he gives us the poem, some lines from Patrick, nodded in the wreckage of prayer, the real wonder of the world in its ruin forms bereavement. Where the world comes apart for Pritchett, he returns to us, quote, the small hymn that is less than everything but more than you and I. So an elegant elegist in his own right. We were thrilled when Patrick agreed to craft some words of introduction for his old friend, partner in crime, and fierce fellow elegist Peter Gizzi. Please welcome Patrick Pritchett.
All right, already. Thank you, David and Karen. I'm never going to live down that wasteland remark. Just like, what the hell? But anyway, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my dear friend, Peter Gizzi. In order to understand his poetry, you must place him on his native ground. He is a New England poet, born and bred, growing up west of here in Pittsfield, where Dick Melville wrote Moby Dick. He absorbed what he calls the birth of the American language, reading Emerson, Melville, Dickinson, Hawthorne, and yes, Whitman too. They gave me, he says, the language in which I compose, which is the American language. These writers underwent a crisis of form, as he puts it, creating what Emerson called an original relation to the universe. He writes, he says in an interview, in a haunted language, it's older than me. I don't live in it. It lives in me. A haunted language, or as the title of one of his poems has it, the present is constant elegy. We are always inside it. Perhaps the most striking thing about Gizzi's poetry is the audacious wager it makes on intimacy. He does not shy away from Pound's injunction that only emotion endures. This is from Consider the Wound, which you can find in Fierce Elegy. To consider wounds that grow through life, illuminate and expand into a primal struggle, to be able to say, I was here, an everyday enunciation, the wound lifts from sorrow, and it grows, taking years to love, a wound in all its glory. The glory of a wound is that it initiates us into a deeper mode of being, the creaturely intimacy of our common suffering. To be alive is to be wounded. Gizzi traces a line of transmission laid down by Whitman. I was the man, I suffered, I was there. I do not ask the wounded person how he feels. I myself become the wounded person. Sorry. Gizzi's most recent book, Fierce Elegy, awarded a T.S. Eliot Prize, continues and amplifies the work of mourning he has been undertaking since 2012's Threshold Songs. To essay the wound is to know ourselves more truly and more strange. His is a poetry of astonishing candor, tenderness, and radical humility, a naked admission for mortal fragility and vulnerability. But it's also a poetry of mercy and benediction. Because of lament, he avers in an interview, the beginning of culture is the burial of the dead. Lament was probably the first song. Peter Sachs, who wrote the book on elegy, notes that architecture, sculpture, and dance are essentially funerary. So too, perhaps, lyric poetry. We know that Neanderthals buried their dead. We're not quite sure why, but one wonders what songs might they have keened. Lament calls the departed back into presence. By naming loss, it resurrects the gone, a voice from beyond the grave, which Paul de Man saw as the primary poetic trope. The elegist is Orpheus going to hell, or as Jack Spicer put it, later he would remember all those dead voices and call them Eurydice. Yet Gizzi's laments are notable for what they don't say also, the names of the departed themselves. This elevates his elegies to something more open, numinous even, a lament for being itself. Elegy, Gizzi attests in an interview, is a way to transform a broken heart in a fierce world into a fierce heart in a broken world. It puts its faith in being's persistence, which is not some imagined afterlife at all, but the voice of the poem speaking from out of the bright flow of logos, lit by a mortal darkness. The work of remembering is the afterlife. Poetry then has a summoning, an apostrophic plea, a calling back of what has vanished or is vanishing, whatever the poet can claim through the affordances of loss. How we call back the dead, how we conjure them, is also how we look ahead to the horizon of our own finitude. Elegy undertakes what Alan Grossman memorably called a principle of power, invoked by all of us against our vanishing. Gizzi's poetry resonates with ghost cadences. This is Dickinson. Was just this time of year I died. I know I heard the corn when I was carried by the farms. I had the tassels on. And this is Gizzi. The world is close today, and elegy is my tonic. I recast language in hope of recovering the red oak. Now, neither music or rhyme, just night, tin, and sky. For Gizzi, elegy is a vehicle for keeping a certain residual melancholy in play, not in a morbid or pathological way, but so as to keep open the connection with the lost one. To assimilate loss completely would be to falsify its meaning. Hold on to the afterlife of the beloved, he writes. It's the only thing that's yours. Hold on to whatever magic in the backyard where we bury our thoughts, things of the world like an afterlife of the world to bury our setting outness. Let us set out then. Please join me in welcoming to Harvard Peter Gizzi.
Well, you might come after the Wesleyan. I don't know how to come after you. Thank you so much. It was so generous and thoughtful. Patrick's brilliant, and I really recommend both Sunderland and Make It Broken. Just stunning. Okay, let me grab my stuff, a little housekeeping. So I first want to thank Christina Davis, who initially invited me to this event, and she's not here today, but she's certainly with us, and so I'm thinking of her, as we all are. And the idea of elegy, just briefly, like, why elegy? I think it's actually a reasonable tool to understand objective reality. And what I mean by that is we live in this world of these massive foreshortened, accelerating, distorted, interlocking crises with zero resolution. The one thing we can say is that nothing's here forever. We're not, right? Periodicity. Everything that is alive is in the state of change. And the elegy basically celebrates that notion. So it could be sorrowful, but I think it's joyful to understand the full experience of being. And if we understand we're not here forever, then basically we should understand the majesty of being and the being also of loss. So rather than being a melancholy thing, I think it's actually a tool to understand the real, and it's also something that we can agree on. So it has an absolute value. And when I think of elegy, to me, it's not a form, though it had been in ancient Greece and for a while in England. To me, it's an environment. It's an atmosphere. It's a place to be, and it's a place to open up to. So I'm going to read around. Oh, great, I brought the wrong set list. Way to go. It's fine. I can handle it. Can't believe I did that. Did I do that? No, I didn't. I haven't. Sorry, guys. See, I thought about this. Here we go. Better. Okay. So I'm going to read around in my books. Don't worry, I'm not going to read forever, but it turns out that I've been writing in this modality for the majority of my life because it's the real. Sentences in a synapse field. For I wanted sound to dig into sound, for snow and blood, for wine and mirrors, for electrons and electricity, for debris, for damaged art, our collective fortune, future. For as long as there have been soldiers, there have been poets. For as long as poets, there has been a bridge. For I wanted to hold a room in silence, for debris flooding back into a wave. For as long as particles, a charge, for it should be incredulity to be alive, for these things that can be told until mystery becomes elegy. For it was March going into April, for the day was speaking the day. For what you thought, for what you buried, for who you are. So I said atmosphere. Fragment to the reader. When you wake to brick outside the window, when you accept this handmade world, when you see yourself inside and accept its picture, when you feel the planet spin, accelerate, make dust of everything beneath your bed, when you say, I want to live, and the light that breaks is an inward light. When you feel speed of day, speed of light, if one could fancy vision, then let it be of you. Let it be thought breaking in your view. This next poem is entitled, there we go. This next poem is entitled, beginning with a phrase from Simone Weil. There's a beloved poet and friend and just brilliant human. Fanny Howe is here tonight. And when I was young, I was once young, when I was 26, I met Fanny. And she gave me 3 extraordinarily important and essential artists in my life. She gave me Andrei Tarkovsky, she gave me John Wieners, and she gave me Simone Weil. And, you know, these are essential to me, and I'm grateful for that. I wrote this when I was in Marseille for 4 months during the turn of the millennium, remember Y2K, and I was reading Gravity and Grace, and were essays that she wrote and collected posthumously, and many of them she wrote in Marseille. So this is kind of, I don't know, an elegy for the 20th century. Now we need many more. It's kind of a fugue form. beginning with a phrase from Simone Weil. There is no better time than the present when we have lost everything. It doesn't mean rain falling at a certain declension at a variable speed is without purpose or design. The present everything is lost in time. According to laws of physics, things shift. When we lose sight of a present, when there is no more everything, no more presence in everything loved. In the expanding model, things slowly drift, and everything better than the present is lost in no time. A day mulches according to gravity, and the sow bug marches gone. The hinge cracks, the gate swings a breeze contingent upon a grace opening to air, velocity tied to winging clay, every anything in its peculiar station. The sun brightens as it bleaches, fades the spectral value in everything seen, and chaos is no better model when we come adrift, when we have lost a presence, when there is no more everything, no more presence in everything loved, losing anything to the present. I heard a fly buzz. I heard revealed nature, cars in the street and the garbage, footprints of a world, every fly a perpetual window, unalloyed life, gling, pinnacles of tar. There is no better everything than loss when we have time, no lack in the present better than everything. In this expanding model, rain falls. According to laws of physics, things drift. And everything better than the present is gone in no time. A certain declension, a variable speed. Is there no better presence than loss, a grace opening to air? No better time than the present. It's interesting reading around. I mean, I appreciate this because I guess I had a life. I don't write anymore. One day it'll happen. Or not. Okay, this is a weird one. Maybe they're all weird. Okay. A telescope protects its view. I like to read the dead, part of a whole lost era campaign. The bridge is up. A portrait of you from what you aren't saying. On my sleeve, the verb to be. I'm plucky but thankful. Death in the imagination equals life itself. Letters from an old bottle, junk in space. A book or a boat. The black ribbons of a spring day might sound mawkish, but I like to read under a pale blue sky, animated and deepening. I like to read the dead. There's so-and-so going by, everyone outside, everyone. The words scroll onto air. Synecdoche, act of receiving from another. Metonymy, change of name. Who hasn't found themselves praying in an awkward room? She said, but what of their sad work by the river's edge, sad way of working the moth paper light, trellis of dented garbage cans and debris at dawn? Patrick rightly said that I don't usually name the addressee in a poem. This poem's called The Growing Edge, and I actually wrote this after I cared for my mother for over a year. We never got along, but at the end, it was like one of the most exceptional years of my life because whatever difficulty was between us just was all gone, and it was an amazing experience. We went to the Dickinson room, and you know, you read things in life when you're young, and you read these amazing sentences, and they stick with you. And one of the ones that I remember from Dickinson's letters was, I never had a mother until she became my child. And then I said, oh, wow, this is what she meant. What am I trying to say? Poetry's real. The growing edge. There is a spike in the air, a distant thrum you call singing, and how many nights this giganto, torn, tuned, I wonder if you hear me. I mean, I talk to myself through you, hectoring air. You're out there tonight, and so am I. For as long as I remember, I talk to the air. What is it to be tough? Whatever do you mean? How mistaken can I be? How did I miss it, as I do entirely, and admit, very well then, I know nothing of the world, can see it now, can really see. There is a spike, a distant thrum to the empty o'clock autumn litter. It's ominous, gratuitous, the asphalt quality, these feelings. It's Sunday in deep space, and in the breeze scatters, felt presences behind the hole in the day, sparks, ominous spike. I've not been here before. My voice is looking for a door, this offing light reaching into maw. What does it mean to enter that room the last time I remembered it, in ungathering every piece of open sky into it, the deep chill inventing? And is it comfort, the cold returning now, clear and crystalline cold, I standing, feet on the ground, I frozen, and I can feel it. To meet incumbent death, we carry within us a body, frozen ground. What does it mean to be tough or to write a poem? I mean the whole vortex of home, buckling inside a deep sea wine, flash lightning, birth storms, weather of pale, blinding life. Am I just bumming you all out? You guys okay? It's just like, help. Okay. So this event was titled Grief's Undersong, right? So here we go. Basement song. Out of the deep I dreamt the mother. How deep the mother, deep the basement, the body, odor of laundry, the soul of a bug. The grass inside the song stains me. The mother stains me. That was the year they cut my throat and toads bloomed on my voice box. I have kept my head up, have kept myself out of trouble, but deep is trouble, deep is mother, deep the song inside summer. Did I tell you it hurt, accepting air in a new body? And since the change, the air burns. Fuck, okay. You know, you put these things in the books and they're useless. Last one from this. The fuck? Okay. So this is called a note on the text, and I'm going to read it for Pope Francis I, who just left the planet. What a remarkable human. What a great model of a cleric, right? It's amazing that he treated his entire papacy as an intimate pastoral work, right? I mean, incredible. A note on the text. The good poets defy things with their heart. This is how a fragment enters the people. Don't say beauty, say the beautiful, say the people. Say it is through chance that writing entered the people, their imagery and love of nature in glutted flowers. This place of fleshlessness, hear their song, the only recourse of sun. Even its smallest syllables can be sewn into the mouth. It is on the tongue the sun abides, 2 syllables fastened to each end. To stretch the vocal pattern, it's linen-like thread. Just a small poem, title poem of a book called Archaeophonics, and I kind of favor archaeological concepts. Archaeophonics is the retrieval of lost or buried sound, which is basically what we do as poets, right? We read them and they speak through us, and their gestures are signatures or their sonorous quality somehow enters back into our work. And this is how we bring them back into the world of light and speech. And poets have been doing this forever, right? It's not one poet, it's just, everyone's just a piece of this song. So this is like a short poem, but it's kind of like my Ars Poetica. That really sounds pretentious, so I'm going to stop. Archaeophonics. I'm just visiting this voice. I'm just visiting the molecular structures that say what I am saying. I am just visiting the world at this moment, and it's on fire. It's always been on fire. I'm saying this, and it's saying me. That's how it works, seesaw-like. The archive in the mouth, and the archive is on fire. That's the story. The sun and the body and the sun. It was like this, just like this, the world that's coming toward me, and the world around me. Around me are words saying this, saying fire, saying something, or all of it. And that's preceded by a long series called Field Recordings, which are about language. And I'm just going to read the first one. Languor. The old language is the old language, with its lance and greaves, broken shields and hammered vowels, a stairway ascending into a mirror. See it climb the old helix beneath a scarred and chipped northerly sky, rotunda blue. Sing genetic cloud forms mirroring the syntax in reflection, and what would you have? Paving stones, rhetoric, the coping of bridges, leanings, what is taken from race, to reconstruct, to recognize the categories have failed, that the index was a liar. The lists have grown lonely far from home. Houses of worship, roofs, toy stores and liquor stores, names, historical furniture, descriptions of architecture, patina in a fanfare city. I have eaten the air of that city. So now we're into the book Now It's Dark, which came out in 2020, which we could say now it's darker. That's the one thing we can say. I mean, come on. Poets have been writing through one rotten kingdom after another from the beginning. It's a nightmare. But we're here. We're here for you. Speech acts for a dying world. A field sparrow is at my window, tapping at its reflection, a tired antique god trying to communicate. It's getting to me. As I set out to sing the nimbus of flora under a partly mottled sky, as I look at the end and sing, so what? Sing Live Now, thinking, why not? I'm listening and receiving now, and it feeds me. I'm always hungry when the beautiful is too much to carry inside my winter, when my library is full of loss, full of wonder. As the polis is breaking and casts a shadow over all of me, thinking of it, when the shadows fall in ripples, when the medium I work in is deathless, and I'm living inside one example of stubbornness as my head is stove in by a glance, as the day's silver tip buds sway in union, waving to the corporate sky, when I said work and meant lyric, when I thought I was done with the poem as a vehicle to understand violence, I thought I was done with the high-toned, shitty world, done with a voice and its constituent pap. Call down the inherited phenomenal world when it's raining in the book, lost to the world in an abundance of world, like listening to a violin when the figure isn't native but the emotion is. When everything is snow and what lies ahead is a mesmer's twirling locket. I thought I was done with the marvel of ephemeral shadow play, the great design and all that. I thought I was done with time, its theatricality, glamour, guff. Gusting cloud, I see you. I become you in my solitary thinging here in partial light. When I said voice, I meant the whole unholy grain of it. It felt like paradise. Meaning rises and sets. Now a hunter overhead, now a bear at the pole, and the sound of names, the parade of names. Am I having a stroke? What does that sound? Help me. What the fuck? Where is this poem? This is killing me. This poem's called, it's a little one called Some Joy for Morning, as in M-O-R-I-N-G. Some joy for morning. Now the connection with spring has dissolved, now that hysteria is blooming. Says, every day I want to fly my kite. Says, what's a grammar when you are no longer you? My world is hydrogen burning in space and in the fullness of etc. I have read the news and learned nothing. I try to understand the whooshing overhead, but for a little light now, I didn't realize the tree was weeping. How was I to know I am not alone, wild light? Another little one. The blossom is stronger than us. But to want the beauty of the hollyhock, Augustine sad reading in the alcove, so much sand and wind with us all this time, so many bullets and boys crying mother before the weather. But why, after all this, nothing but the changing weather, playing the changes, the children, in the magnitude, love, in the horror, love. So I'm going to read a few poems from Fresh Old Songs and we'll be done. So I said that I favor archaeological terms. The opening poem of the opening poem of all my books is the opening poem of my books because I just need to catch a phrase or a concept that's big enough. You know, it's a false engine maybe, but I have to catch a phrase, and it has to be capacious enough that I can imagine a horizon that I can then dwell in, and then the book comes. It's really weird. So far phrase hasn't come, but maybe. This podium's a nightmare. Okay, so, I mean, this is Harvard, right? No, I'm kidding. So I like this title. It's called Find Spot Unknown, and you know, when you go to the British Museum and, you know, you go and you'll see an artifact, it'll say Assyria, 800 BC. And then you go to the next artifact and it says, find spot unknown. And I was like, wow, that's great, because what is it? It's an artifact of an unknown origin. And I find that really useful because, I mean, the poem is an artifact of an unknown origin. But then thinking about that, I'm like, wait a minute, I'm an artifact from an unknown origin. So it works. At any rate. Find spot unknown. Thus far we have spoken only the codes, a litany of survival. Thus spoke the silvered asphodel next to the factory ruin. Sound carries on water. My subject is the wind. To take umbrage at what a tree can do, watching one single birch become lightning, stunning the sky. Landscape is a made thing, to see the mind seeing itself, to see thought, a wing in night, the long brooding, take it, listen. The night is orchestral when the power's on, everything disporting, a furred wand upon nothingness. I get it. It was good to leave the world, to find myself in thou. There's a lot to be said for seeing in the dark, and more to the light when there's nothing to see. If I write about the moon, it's because it's there. I am landlocked, surrounded by rivers and lakes, pills and leaves. I saw a better life. It was far off, sun on moss next to a friend, the softening air, the dandelion fluff. It was kinda real and kinda not. Can't see it today. And out of nothing breath, a beast-like shadow in the glass. If I brought back every feeling I had, where would I put them? What could they mean to this world on the floor? It was best to let the moon unravel and focus the truth of the music. It was best to let the music unravel and focus the truth of night, like when I found you in the back of my mind. I am talking about people in the night, people inside the night and what we are made of, the things and the people, the signal and its noise. I'm good to ghost. It was also Orfeo the other night, when the face you carry is not your own. And the history in this is a history of haunted ground. The world is a veil. Its effects total the imagination. What have I been doing without me all this time? Don't know if I want to anymore. I wonder distance and its discontents. I trouble distance nevertheless. The poet is a buzz. The poet becomes a bug in air. How did I lose you between the rug on my floor and the sun setting out the window, between the radiator and a dusky kaleidoscopic light? To wonder that light, ingenious before dark, to wonder the beautiful so close to death. Where do you go when I don't see you? Or who am I when you're not around? Revisionary. I've decided to let my inner weather out. Even in the nerves flashing, some things are only shadow. What's up with that? My muse bruises me. Some days I sit hours to be relieved by a word. Today's word is invisible. I'm putting trouble into place, turning toward what is, listening to stone translate into silence. Here is an old rock covered with lichen in the mossy forest inside the self. I like it here when it's green. This is me evolving. I'm hanging on a whisper. Certain prayers are tied to this ribbon. How in hell can nature throw clay into art, into a speaking being, into air? I saw a world that was an afternoon, this cloud in my hand, sky pouring into sky, reflecting the absolute of the lake, the flock in its tangle of shadow. Nearing the end, I could hear a lark, its trill fixing itself to my brain. It seemed a thing becoming a wave, a thing dissolving into the world as I found it, illegible, agrammatical, to parse the velocity of trusses and stars flowering here at the edge, calling me. If the other ones haven't been, this one's over the top. Ecstatic joy and its variants. As surely as this is about seeing you dance naked, it is also about the sky and Mahler in the wan distance heard by a child. As surely as the sadness never leaves and that music heals the night with its deeps and neon. As surely as the glow of the radiator at 3 a.m., a line of inquiry, souvenirs, a signature for the sun. Oh, bed of stray barrettes, discourse and water. Bed of laughter, hot takes, dried blood. Bed of cedar boughs, pinhole light, thing music. Surely this is about water jetting from a spring, a languid rafting with no particular destination, as the old arguments, humans, how they rhyme, stutter, get lost. This is also about conversations with the dead, the only honest definition of silence. Surely you are not listening to the words I am singing about the last day of my life, the gift of blood, the perfect text. Are not all the sounds in my lyre about you? Like a seam through the sky, glitter, sometime youth. Surely this is about the one thing you do to me, places not even music is touched. And in my outrage, I am immortal. Because I love, I am here. One more. So, for centuries, the elegy, the form, was a form of love poetry. It's not unlike soul music, right? You praise the beloved as you're losing the beloved. And that's life. So this last poem is called That I Saw the Light on Nonotuck Avenue, and that's a street near where I live and I walk on. And some poems are more expensive than others. I don't know what to say. So I wrote this one while I was caring for my older brother, Tom, who Fanny knew, and when he was dying of ALS, which was a really cruel, horrible, sad journey that only went the one way. Now, I don't narrate my autobiography, right? I write out of it, not about it. So, okay, last poem. That I saw the light on Nonotuck Avenue, that every musical note is a flame, native in its own tongue, that between bread and ash there is fire, that the day swells in crests, that I found myself born into it with sirens and trucks going by out here in a poem, that there are other things that go into poems like the pigeon, cobalt, dirty windows, sun, that I have seen skin in marble, I in stone, that the information I carry is mostly bacterial, that I am a host, that the ghost of the text is unknown, that I live near an Air Force base and the sound in the sky is death. That sound, like old poetry, can kill us. That there are small things in the poem, paper clips, gauze, tater tots, knives, that there can also be emptiness fanning out into breakfast rolls, macadam, stars. That I am hungry, that I seek knowledge of the ancient sycamore that also lives in the valley where I live, that I call to it, that there are airships overhead, that I live alone in my head out here in a poem near a magical tree, that I saw the light on Nonotuck Avenue and heard the cry of a dove recede into a rustle, that its cry was quiet light falling into a coffin, that it altered me, that today the river is a camera obscura bending trees, that I sing this of metallic shimmer, sing the sky, the song, all of it, and wonder if I am dying, would you come back for me? That's good. Thanks. Thank you.